I hope you enjoyed that, because today we've got some hacks for the Cricut Joy. And I'm telling you, you're about to have your mind blown. You might have to clean up some brain matter because your brain's gonna explode when you see these hacks about the Cricut Joy. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you're new here, my name is Lauren and I'm a craft producer here at Makers Gonna Learn, where we strive to always bring you inspiration, education, and motivation to use your Cricut machine. Now, if you have a Cricut Joy, you know that unfortunately you do not have print and cut capabilities. Wah, wah, wah. But don't fear, today we're gonna alleviate that, and I'm gonna show you how you can create a print and cut effect using your Cricut Joy. But not only that, we're also going to show you how you can score with your Cricut Joy. So make sure you stick around to the end so you can learn all of the tips and tricks when it comes to using your Cricut Joy. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell notification so that you can be notified every time we get crafty, because y'all, it's free 99 to do it and it really helps us. So I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you already. Now, let's talk about how we are going to recreate this. This is going to be a very in-depth tutorial, so please slow it down, take some notes, and the good thing about this is you can go ahead and rewind and rewatch as many times as you need to really get this down. So let's go ahead and hop over into Cricut Design Space, and I'm gonna start showing you how you're going to achieve print and cut with your Cricut Joy. So now that we're here in Cricut Design Space, we're gonna start assembling and putting together our guide that we are going to use to help us get perfect print and cut. So what you need to do, the first thing you need to do is we need to create a square that's the same size as the Cricut mat. So you can see the Cricut Joy mat is only a 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a square that fills up this 4.5 by 6.5. So let's go back to Design Space. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a shape. I'm just gonna grab a square here. Now I am going to unlock it. I'm gonna pull it over here and we'll zoom in. I have unlocked the size aspect ratio of this square. So I'm making the width 4.5 and the height 6.5 because that is the same size as the cut area on the Cricut Joy mat. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that same square, except I'm going to change it from 4.5 by 6.5 to 4.25 or 4.25 by 6.25. So we're coming down and we're giving that a 1/4 inch allowance all the way around the outside of the square. So we're gonna do 6.25 by 4.25. From there, I'm selecting both squares, coming up here to align, and I'm going to center align those squares. Now you can't really see it right now, but I will show you here. I'll change this one to white. You can see that there is now a 1/4 inch frame all the way around it. But that's all that it is it's just the bigger one sitting behind the smaller one. So once you center those two squares together, while they are still selected, we are gonna come down here to slice, and we are going to slice that out. So now what you have, we can delete this. You now have a true frame that you can see all the way through, and it's just black around the outside, okay? Now, before we go any further, one other thing that you must do before we start assembling our print and cut images, we need to come up here to the top right corner, and you need to choose either a Maker 3, a Maker, an Explorer 3. Any of those will be fine, but we need to choose a machine that has print and cut capabilities. You cannot choose the Cricut Joy right now. So whether you have that machine or not, it really doesn't matter. You just need to choose a machine that has print and cut capabilities. Right now we are leaving it on the Cricut Explore 3, which is perfectly fine because that is the one that we use most of the time here in the studio. Now that we have these two things correct, we're going to start grabbing our images, whether you have images that you've already uploaded or maybe you're grabbing some images from Maker's Gonna Learn. As you can see here, we have so many cut files for you to choose from to create some amazing stickers. If you are not already and you are interested in finding out more about Maker's Gonna Learn or you're wanting access to these cut files, make sure you click that first link down below and you can check us out. What we do is we strive, like I said earlier, we strive to bring you inspiration, education, and motivation, but we also give you hundreds of new cut files a month, new fonts every month. Our library currently is sitting at 20,000 plus cut files. And y'all, I'm telling you, there's some really, really good stuff in here that I really think you're going to enjoy. So make sure you click that first link down below if you're interested. Now, once you have found the cut file that you want to use, what you're gonna do is you're gonna click this arrow pointing down. To download it, you do need to come up here, double click it, make sure that it gets unzipped. You can see here it is unzipped. And now all you have to do is pop back over to Design Space. We're gonna go over here to upload. We're gonna select upload image, bring the Finder back into view, and now I can drag and drop the images that I plan to use for stickers today. So I'm just going to select apply and continue. We're using this as a flat graphic. We're gonna select continue and we're gonna upload that onto our canvas. Now, I'm gonna go and grab some more files that we are gonna be using and I will be right back and we will assemble our stickers inside our guide. So now that we have uploaded all of the files that we plan on using, I'm going to start arranging these files inside this guide, but leaving quite a bit of room in between them because, and you can do this before or after you arrange them within the guide, when you are doing print and cut on the Cricut Joy, you really must do it with an offset. It is so hard to have the machine cut exactly where it needs to for something that does not have an offset. That offset just gives us a little bit more wiggle room. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to come in here and start creating an offset. Now, for images this small, a 0.25 offset is way too large. So a 0.1 is more than likely what you're gonna wanna do, or maybe even a little bit smaller than that, but you are going to need to create an offset. Now, here you can determine if you want a colored offset. Like I said, having a white offset just kind of gives you a little more wiggle room so that you don't have color on one side, white on the other. So for today, for all intents and purposes today, we are making all of our offsets white. So we're just going to go ahead and start creating offsets for all of our stickers. Now you do want to make sure that none of your edges touch the guide either, because that is also going to be printed. So we're just going to keep on adding designs here. And what I love about this is you can flip these upside down, whatever you have to do to make it work and get the most within that area. So I'm just going to come back here to offset. One looks good. We'll hit apply. We'll change it to white. You can see it's kind of over here, so I'm gonna select that, both that and the offset, and just bump that over and maybe down a hair so that it is not touching anywhere anymore, like that, and we will just keep assembling from there. So now that I have the offsets and the stickers set within the guide, what I need to do now is select all of this together, every single piece together, and we're going to flatten that all together. So what that is going to do is that is going to send it to my printer and print it exactly as you see it with the guide. Now, I know you're like, but Lauren, I don't see where you're going from here. Hold tight, stick with me. I promise you will here in a few minutes. So after you've done that, we're gonna go to make. It does not matter where this sits on your page. We're going to go to continue. We are going to select send to printer. For this one, it's up to you. I probably would not add bleed because we want to cut exactly on this. So this is one of those scenarios where I'm actually going to turn the bleed off, but I'm still going to use system dialog, and I'm going to select print. We're going to pull this down, and we are going to print this with our regular Canon TS9500 printer, feeding from rear tray like always and turning our quality to best. And I'm going to select print, and I will be right back once that has printed. And this is what your print is going to look like. So you can do this a couple different ways. You can do this with a paper trimmer if you would like. You can cut with a paper trimmer, or you can do it old school and cut with scissors if you are really good at cutting along the edge. Either one is fine. Me personally, I feel like I can see and I feel like I can control it better when I'm cutting with scissors. It does take me a little bit longer, but there's something about just cutting it with scissors that does it for me. So we're just gonna cut this with scissors, and you notice we are cutting along the outside edge of that guide that we created. That is going to be the key, is cutting along the outside edge. Also, fun fact, if you did not know this, if you are cutting with scissors, it's always best to keep your scissors still if you are trying to cut around things, and you don't move your scissors, you move your paper. It took me a long time to figure that out, but that is how you get a really good cut, is you move your paper, not your scissors. So anyway, once you have cut your stickers out, what we are going to do now is you can see that right here, it fits perfectly within our mat. Just like that. So once you have that, we're gonna go back to Design Space. We're actually gonna click cancel. We are gonna cancel the cut, and we're gonna go back to our screen here. Now, what you need to do is, once you have done that, we're going to come up here to flat. We're gonna select this flattened layer. We are gonna unflatten it, okay? We're unflattening that layer. And now what we're gonna do is we are getting rid, without touching this, do not touch anything in here. And if you do, make sure you hit that back button, okay? But we wanna work from our layers panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start getting rid of that top layer, the print and cut layer. So we're getting rid of all of those on the top. So now all that is left are the outlines. Now these are set to the print and cut operation. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to come over here, change them all to basic cut from print and cut. And you can tell that they get changed to basic cut when they change colors. So we're just changing all of these to basic cut. So once you have changed all your offsets to basic cut, what I'm going to do, because I really don't want the machine to necessarily cut this out and take a risk of it cutting into some of my stickers. We have used it as a guide. We know that it's there, but we don't need it. So we're also going to change the outside rectangle to a basic cut as well. Now that everything is changed to basic cut, there is another step that you need to complete. So we need to come back over here and we need to grab a shape again, and we're gonna create a rectangle that is the same size as this inner. Now the reason that we are doing this, and let me show you why. If we select all of this and just go ahead and attach it and then send it to the Cricut Joy, let me show you what happens. You would think that this should work, but because the outside of our rectangle is the exact same size as the mat, when we go to make it, it does not give us the option to put this on the mat. And you can tell that because it says material load type without mat, and it's grayed out. So what we have to do to alleviate this problem, you can still leave these attached if they are already. We're just going to grab this shape. We're going to grab a square. We're going to unlock the size aspect ratio. We're going to make it 4.25 by 6.25, which is the same size of the inner portion of this square. Now I'm going to change it to white so that you all can see better. Now that you've done that, remember, these I've already attached, so they're not going to move. I'm going to select both of these layers, the square and this attached layer back here. I'm coming up here to align. I'm going to center those together, and I know you're thinking, but Lauren, where did it go? The square is just in front of it. Let's go ahead and hit arrange and let's send it backwards. You can see that that white square fits perfectly within the confines of this frame. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to click this arrow pointing down where it is attached, come down here to my frame or my guide that I created, and I'm going to hide that. Do you see it just got rid of that outside frame? Nothing inside changed, and everything is exactly where we placed it, okay? So once you hide that, we're going to come back over here to our canvas. We're going to drag and drop. We're going to select all this that's attached, plus this extra square that we just created. We're going to click attach again. Now I know you think, oh gosh, Lauren, that's too much work. Well, if you have a Cricut Joy, this is what you have to do to get your print and cut. But I promise you the results are worth it. The results are worth it. So once you've done that, we're going to make it. And you can see now we have the option to put it on our 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat. So we're going to click confirm, and it places it exactly where we want it. So once you have done that, we're going to go to continue. We're waiting on our Cricut Joy to show up. So the setting that we're going to use is the Smart Paper Matless Sticker Cardstock. I know we are using a mat, but we're using that setting. So what we're doing is we are going to come over here, load in our materials, and then we're going to click go down here because there's not a go button on the Joy. So we're just going to click go. And then there you go. Now, do I think that this is a super effective and accurate, every single time accurate way to do this? No, it's not. But does it get the job done, and do you create stickers? Yes. You can see this one looks a little better than maybe, let's say, this one. This one is a little bit more off-centered. It's not bad. This one is not. This one up here in the top corner, it's all about alignment and making sure you place it on there right. You can see this one for some reason got a little more off than the other ones did, but you can see that this is a great workaround if you are still wanting to create stickers with your Cricut Joy and you have nothing else to do. This is a pretty good workaround, and this is why you want and need to have a white offset versus a color. Now, the next hack with your Cricut Joy that I'm going to teach you how to do is going to be scoring with your Cricut Joy. Now, as you know, if you are a Cricut Joy user, you know that you do not have scoring capabilities. But hold up, let me show you how you can work around that. Let's go ahead and go back into Cricut Design Space. So next up, I'm just going to go ahead and hide this and get this out of the way, and we're going to create a little 3D fry box that we could maybe put our little tiny stickers in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the file from Maker's Gonna Learn. What you can do is you can search cut files. We're just going to type in fry box. This 3D French fry box is the one that we're going to be using. You're going to click that arrow pointing down, make sure it downloads, double click that to unzip that file. From there, we're going to hop back over to Design Space. We're going to click Upload, Upload Image, bring our Finder back into view, and I'm going to drag and drop that SVG. Once we have done that, we're going to go to Continue, Upload, and you can see it is going to upload. Now let me change the canvas color from gray back to white so you can see. Beautiful. And now what we need to do is we need to size this down to fit within the mat of the Cricut Joy. So if you are familiar with 3D files, you know that the score lines normally come in as basic cut lines. And if you're used to working with 3D files, you know that you have to select that layer and come over here to operations and change it to a scoring function. However, if you are on the Cricut Joy, you don't have that option. The only options you have are basic cut, pen, and foil and guide. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the foiling tip for the workaround today, and we're gonna select foil for that. Now, we do need to make sure that these are attached together so that when we send it over, it is going to be fine. So once you have done that, we are ready to come over here to make it. We are doing this on the mat, on our 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat. We're gonna click confirm. Now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna come in here and I'm going to cut my paper down to size to fit on the 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat. If you would like, you can do this with a paper trimmer, no problem. And I did get just a little bit crooked, so I'm just gonna flip that over so my crooked side is over there. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go to continue. And then from there, once it has connected to our Joy, we are going to select medium cardstock. I'm actually gonna change the pressure from default to more, and we are gonna load in the scoring, or we are gonna load in the engraving tip first, because that's what it's telling us to do. So we're gonna pop that bad boy in there. From there, we are going to load our materials. Once that is done, we are going to click go on our screen, and you can see how the Joy is now using that foiling tip to create score lines for us. Once that is done, it's telling us to remove the gold foil, but we didn't use it anyway, so we're just gonna pop our fine point blade right there in that housing, and then we're gonna click go on the screen again. And then once that is done, all we have to do is unload this. And y'all, the lines are kind of faint, but look how well that, look at that. It scored it beautifully. Now all we have to do is assemble our project. Even that curved line, it did very, very well on. You can see there, it was so easy to do that. Adding that more pressure is definitely the way to go. So we're just going to take our double-sided adhesive, add some adhesive on the insides of those flaps, and then we're just going to bring our little fry box together like that. And y'all, you can score with your Cricut Joy. I mean, come on, how cute is that to have a little tiny fry box with little tiny stickers that we can put inside our little fry box. I just think it's so cute. These are a little bit bigger than normal, but you get the gist. It's just adorable. So, what did you guys think about that? Did you know you could do all of those things with your Cricut Joy? Like I said, it is a little bit more prep work. It does take a little longer to achieve the same effect that it takes you half the time to do with the Explorer Maker. But if the Joy is all you have, y'all, you can still do stickers. It may just not be as perfect as you want, but it's still super cute and super fun to do. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell notification so that you can be notified every time we get crafty. If you want to check out more cute projects, check out this video here.